Crafting is a fundamental part of 7 Days to Die. Basically, everything you need from game start to game finish, you need to craft. But have you ever wondered what the game would be like if you could not craft anything? Not the stone axe, the bow, the forge, building blocks, anything. What if this core part of the game simply did not exist? Well, that is exactly what I am going to try to do in this video. Can I survive for 7 days without crafting anything in 7 Days to Die? The rules of this challenge are simple. I cannot craft anything. I can still scrap and repair though, that is not considered crafting. Everything I need I will either have to find in loot or buy from the trader. So let's get to it. As I loaded into the world, I took a moment to look around and contemplate the hell I was about to enter, and started doing my challenges. Everything was going well, until I had to craft a stone axe. Except, I can't do that. So instead of being smart and listening to the game, I went off on my own accord, searching every car along the way, hoping to find some type of tool in them. As my inventory filled up, I noted how, when you take crafting out of the mix, just how many items become useless. Those polymers, useless. Coffee beans, useless. Brass, useless. All this stuff is good for anymore is selling to the trader, which I will be doing a lot of. But wait, how would I find a trader? Usually the game points you to one once you complete the introductory challenges, but I can't do that. I figured that once I found a town, I would eventually find a trader, and sure enough, not long after entering this town, I spotted Trader Rex's compound. He was delighted to see his favorite idiot as always, and gave me the introductory buried supplies quest. I knew if I completed this quest, Trader Rex would give me a pipe baton bundle, which would give me a weapon. But wait, I don't have a shovel. Trader Rex will only give you a shovel if you have completed the intro challenges, and again, I can't do that. So off I went again, back into the town searching for cars and a place to live. I finally decided to live in the crypts, not only because there were lots of spikes down there that I could use to quickly deal with the zombies, but living in the same place as all my hopes and dreams would do nothing but drastically boost my morale, as I play as a guy who forgot how to attach a rock to a stick. After clearing out the zombies, I had myself a home, and a place to store all my mostly useless junk. But this did not solve my main issues. I still have no tools. I have no weapons, save for my torch and my fists. At first I figured that going out and hitting cars was still the best course of action. But after stopping at Trader Rex again and selling more stuff, including crafting magazines, I realized that with the amount of dukes I have, it would be better to just buy stuff from Trader Rex instead. Unfortunately, Trader Rex had no weapons or tools, and that was what sent me out on my new objective, level up, so I can get a skill point into Daring Adventure, hopefully resetting Trader Rex's inventory to a time when he had tools. That's another thing, I don't get the free skill points for completing the intro challenges because, you guessed it, I can't do them. So I went out finding zombies to kill to give me a level. It was slow. The torch, while certainly not a bad weapon, was still less than ideal, but I was making slow and steady progress, which is what counts. Soon I found myself at another building. This one must have belonged to a hoarder. Not because that's the name of the POI, but just look at all these cans and boxes. I ended a few more zombies who emerged from the garbage, went to the backyard, and then I heard it. The jingle of a dog collar. It was in that moment that I knew I was screwed. There was no way I could kill a dog with a torch, and outrunning it, not an option. In a last-ditch effort, I hopped on the car in the driveway, gripped my torch tightly, and swung with all my might. It did nothing. The dog hopped on top of the car, and that's when I just gave up. Quit. Back to the main menu. I mean, I was gonna die anyway, which means I would fail the challenge. So I guess you can say that I did not survive 7 days without crafting anything. But that's not all. I'm going to try again, because if there is one thing that Mama did not raise, it was certainly not a quitter. So I started again, ignored the intro challenges again, and started looting all the cars. And in a stroke of good fortune, I found a weapon, the stone spear. Not only a weapon, but my personal weapon of choice in 7 Days to Die. It was in this moment that I knew that this run would go much better than the last. I repaired it, which in case you're wondering does not count as crafting something. Nothing new is being made, something I already have is just being mended. Maybe one day I will do a video where I'm not allowed to craft anything or repair anything, but that day is not today. I found the trader again, took the intro buried supplies quest again, but instead of going to go do it, I went out to kill zombies. Getting that level so I could put a point into Daring Adventure was my new priority. I also figured that going after end loot caches was the best way to try and get me some tools and better weapons, so that is what I did. Soon, I came across the Hessness residence. With its ladder hanging from the ceiling, indicating that the end loot was up there, I skipped most of the POI by parkouring up the side of the building. Jumping to the ladder and killing the only guard up there, avoided the fallaway floor and searched the leather chest. There was nothing particularly good in that chest, which was a slight disappointment, but that was offset by me now having a safe and secure place to store my loot. Plus, I knew that this would be a safe place to stay for the night. There was no way the zombies would be able to get to that ladder. I could not make a sleeping bag or land claim block, so I had to resort to marking the building to make sure I would not forget. With that now done, I went across the street to the crypts, the same place I had stayed for my first attempt. I used the same trick to deal with all the zombies down there as before, and made it to the end loot, but not before hitting the spikes myself and taking a ridiculous amount of damage. This biker zombie also proved to be kind of scary, but just like the rest, they could not survive the almighty wood spikes. The end loot was again nothing remarkable. I skipped all the sealed shipping crates that I had no way to break into, and went back out to killing zombies and looting cars whenever they appeared. I went back to Trader Rect, sold some stuff, and finally, many zombie kills later, I finally leveled up. I put that point into Daring Adventure and rushed back to Trader Rect, hoping that he would now have some type of tool in his inventory, and sure enough, he did. A quality 4 stone axe that I can almost afford. I sold a shotgun magazine and 2 blood bags to get enough dukes, and finally, I now have a tool capable of breaking doors and crates. Delighted with my new find, I ran back to the crypt and broke open the crates I had left earlier. One gave me several skill magazines that I could sell to the trader, and the other some aloe cream. The day is almost done, but there is still some time left to do some more looting, so that is what I did. The Clem residence is right across the street from my place, so I went there. While there, I found a food pile which gave me my supper for that night, a delicious bowl of hobo stew. There was nothing else there. I could not get to the end loot in time, so I just called it quits, went back to my base, and it was there. I sat still, in one place, only moving once to devour my hobo stew when I got hungry. Under normal circumstances, I would take this time to make a campfire, cook up some water, make a forge, and cook up some iron. But those require crafting, and I can't do that. It was a long night, but eventually the sun came up and the zombies stopped running. As soon as the clock struck 4, I was out to do more looting. Except that's a lie. Instead, I'm going to do the intro buried supplies quest. I have no shovel, but I do have an axe, and an unwavering determination to get this quest done. That alone gave me more confidence than any person with just a shovel could have. But let me tell you, doing this with a stone axe was literal agony. I was lucky though. I found the crate on my first dig down, got the supplies, brought them to Trader Rect, who gave me a pipe machine gun bundle as a reward. Now I'm finally starting to feel confident. I have a tool, a melee weapon, and a gun. Now all I need is to do quests, loot, and level. I took a fetch quest for Jerry's Fill, which was where I found myself some time later. Nothing interesting happened, zombies died, I got loot, and another stone axe, which I scrapped almost immediately. I did do a bit of stealth to snag the end loot, mainly because I did not feel like dealing with the biker zombie that was up there. Trader Rect was ecstatic that I had finished, and gave me some pipe bombs as reward. I took another quest for Motel 7, and, while doing this quest, I got thirsty. This was a problem. I took some beer to try and offset the stamina regeneration penalties, but that was not enough. To make things worse, there was a big mob zombie guarding the end loot. With no stamina, I had to resort to poking her with my spear every 3 seconds when I had enough stamina, while playing Rain Around the Rosie around the hole in the roof. I got it done though, got the end loot, including a can of Meow Chow and a book that allows me to craft a mod. Useless. After killing the snake that was hiding in the shower, I turned the quest in and chose to bake potatoes, mainly because everything else I could reasonably get by looting or purchasing. I took my final quest for the day, at the New Life Hope cabin. This biker zombie pissed me off by eating 15 of my precious 7.62 bullets, and still taking several spear pokes to kill. Other than that, this place was a breeze. Zombies died, I gained loot, and found the supplies. In particular, I got some building blocks, which meant that I had the means to do some actual building. Building blocks are among the many critical items in this game that I can no longer craft, so I have to use the building blocks I get very wisely. I got a few more building blocks in the cabin, ignored a roaming horde that was heading to the cabin. They must have heard their zombie buddies calling for reinforcements, but they were too late. I was gone, and all they would find at that cabin was a massacre. Trader Recht was more than pleased, and I chose the grilled meat as my reward. Again, it is something that I need that I cannot craft. The day is almost done, and I'm at my quest limit, but I figured that I would do another quest anyway. I could use the dukes, the loot, and the experience that it would give me, so I took another quest, this one for the Nobly cabin. My inventory was less than prepared for this quest though. Look at all that useless junk in there. I drank some beer to clear space and for the buffs, but what do you know, I'm thirsty again. Great. I found some canned food in this food pile, which I was grateful for, as these food piles were the only things keeping me from getting hungry. I only wish they gave clean water too, because that is what is really killing me. Being thirsty sucks, not just because it takes a sizable bite out of your max stamina, but it also reduces your stamina regeneration, which is really apparent when you're fighting. Hunger, on the other hand, only takes a bite out of your max stamina, and nothing else. Anyway, this proved only a minor inconvenience until the very end. There was another big mama zombie guarding the end loot, and oh my god was this annoying. Almost as annoying as when I did this same thing earlier, instead of on a roof, behind a door. She finally died. I got a flaming shaft mod, which I put on my spear, but that was not the best thing I got. That best thing was a single jar of golden raw tea, just enough to quench my thirst for the run back to the trader. I made it safe and sound. Recht gave me molotovs, which I gladly accepted. I bought some yucca juice from his vending machines because I knew I would get thirsty again during the night, and started the journey back to my home. I avoided the doghouses, sneered as I passed by the hoarder's house, and made it home. Before I went upstairs, I took some time and broke out a few blocks around the path up to the ladder, just to make it easier for me to get up there. I threw all my junk away and took a moment to patch up the hole in the floor with some building blocks, making sure that I would never fall down to the zombies that were waiting below. Then I just sat there. Yep, sat in the corner all night again. I mean, I can't do much else. Can't craft anything, can't do nighttime looting, I'm not strong enough, can't even do a resource run, because what would I do with all those resources anyway? At long last, morning finally came. I was eager to start questing again, to get the bicycle, and to get some more levels. I hit the ground, and what do you know? I'm thirsty again. Good thing I have yucca juice. Except it's upstairs in the leather chest. Great, just great. After that disastrous start, I was off to Steer Gulch. I remember this place. I remember this place from my playthrough of 7 Days to Die, and I remember that it was filled with Big Mama zombies, my second least favorite zombies in the game. What's my least favorite zombie? It's those blasted bikers. Why? You'll see soon enough. I started the POI, and what do you know? The fun pimps decided to have more mercy on me. There was not a single Big Mama zombie in there. With my morale significantly boosted, zombies died, I picked some mushrooms, got a level, and put the point into better barter, because with the amount of stuff I'm going to be buying from the trader, I need the best prices possible. And finally hit the end loot. Things are starting to turn a corner here. I got a nice ranger hat which I put on, plus it also gave me better barter. I exfiltrated the gulch, Trader Recht gave me some more molotovs which I happily accepted, but my god, his quests are all so far away. I took the closest one, the TJ Morales residence. When I got there, I did some double dipping on the car and mailbox, and everything was going fine until the very end. I was over encumbered, and this guy sensed my weakness and charged. He didn't even fall over once until I knocked the life out of him. But not after he hit me and dealt some wicked, nasty damage. I hate being encumbered. We're doing rooftop combat now, and that's a surefire way to get yourself killed. So I'm going to get down from there. Of course, these zombies called in their friends from nearby, so now I have to deal with them too. Eventually their reinforcements died. I helped this guy get out of the cage he had fallen into from earlier, then killed him. After all was said and done, I was thirsty, I had lost a lot of health, but was still alive, and that's what matters. I found some nice boots in the end loot. Now I can fall from greater heights without worrying about breaking my leg or taking damage, and so began the long slog back to Trader Recht. This was painful. I was slightly over-encumbered, I had no stamina because I was thirsty, and I knew that there was no way in hell I was taking any more quests from Trader Recht. They were all at least 1 kilometer away, and I'd rather fight 100 biker zombies than run all the way there and back again. But on the bright side, I have a lot of skill magazines, which means I will soon have a lot of dukes. I took some grilled meat as my quest reward, sold all my magazines, leveled up, and put the point into perception, and then spent nearly half of my dukes on a yucca juice smoothie from his vending machine, to quench my thirst for the rest of the day. This is one of the things that makes this challenge difficult. Food is no issue, you will find plenty of that out in the world, but drink, that's hard to find. Sure, there's plenty of murky water, but I can't craft them into boiled water because I need a campfire, and I can't craft that. So instead of saving dukes to buy stuff from the trader, I'm forced to fork over half my daily findings just to buy water. After lamenting that for a bit, I needed to find something to do for the rest of the day. Like I said before, doing more quests is out of the picture, they're too far away. So instead, I figured the best thing to do was to go back and find end loot crates and search them. They had the best chance of giving me ammo and better equipment, which I so desperately need. And what better place to start than the hoarder's house? Because I knew exactly where the end loot was. It was up there, in that window, along with several hazmat zombies. How did I know that? Because I've done this place before, and it's one of the few places that I still remember clearly. I built my way up there, and sure enough, there it was, the end loot and the hazmat zombies. They all died. This guy was having some issues though. The end loot was mine. I got some ammo, some magazines, and some mods, all of which I could sell for a nice profit, and that's exactly what I did. I also switched out the flaming shaft mod on my spear for a structural brace mod, to reduce the frequency of repairs I have to make on it. After selling some more mods, I had 1,303 dukes. Nice. I went back out to find more end loot, emptied out my inventory, and went across the street to the McKean residence. I didn't drop down the hole, instead opting to cheat and just break through all the spikes and barbed wire instead, and then proceeded to let said spikes and barbed wire kill any zombies who came out to challenge me. This nurse dropped a loot bag which had some decent stuff in it. It was also during this time that I realized that I had left all my stone at my base, when I tried to repair my spear but couldn't. See, this challenge has a way of messing with your mind. You can't craft anything, so everything is all of a sudden useless, except when you need to repair something. Soon enough I was in the attic, where we are about to see why biker zombies are my least favorite zombies in this game. This bastard took so much ammunition and so many spear pokes to kill, and not to mention that he hits harder than a car going 50 kilometers per hour. But he eventually died, and there was a good reason he was so tough, because the end loot he was guarding was great. A sham chowder, a pocket mod, and a book that makes food more common in loot. The 2 shipping crates gave me more magazines to sell for dukes, and just like that I was off. Dropped some more stuff off at my base. This leather chest is starting to get pretty full, so I had to store some stuff in the bookstore box next to it. I ate the sham chowder, and soon I was at a sewage problem. Again, I know exactly where the end loot is, because I'm literally staying in this place in my 7 Days to Die Let's Play. After breaking through the store, revealing the end loot, I was actually stealthy for once. The leather chest was again full of awesome loot, a mod which increases my perception, a chest piece which reduces incoming zombie damage, and a spear book that does something. What you might ask, I don't know, because at the time of me writing this script for this video, I am now noticing that I did not read this book for quite a while. But yeah, back to stealth. I was able to get everything in that room without waking up a single zombie. After that, I was at the Clem residence. I didn't know where the end loot was in this building, so I figured I would just break through this door here and see where it went. And what do you know? I had guessed correctly, the end loot was right there. The leather chest did not have anything spectacular this time, but the extra ammo was nice. I tried to be stealthy again, didn't work, so I had to resort to violence. All the zombies died, I got money from the purse, vitamins from the medicine pile, and left to drop stuff off at where, you guessed it, at my base. With it about to turn to night, I figured this was an excellent time to finally clear out the building I was staying in. The most interesting thing in that entire building was down in the basement, behind a woodpile. Under the stairs that led to the basement, there was a secret stash crate. Inside was some decent loot, nothing too special. After that, it was back to the usual, sitting up in the attic, waiting for the night to pass. Oh, and I finally read the spear book that I found a while ago. It was the Penetrating Shaft book, which allows power attacks to penetrate multiple enemies at once. On the bright side, tomorrow is day 4, the day the traders restock. On the not so bright side, tomorrow is day 4, one day closer to day 7. When the sun rose again over the land, I was ready. I gathered up all the magazines, books, and parts that I was going to sell to the trader, and made my way over. When all was done and sold, I had a solid 1,173 dukes. I would have had more if I had remembered to bring the dukes at my base with me. But anyway, Trader Rec did not really have anything nice. He had an iron pickaxe, and a quality 5 stone axe, but those things were of no use to me. The pickaxe was only good for gathering resources, which I have no use for. And a better stone axe is not worth the 1,000 dukes that he's asking. At least this time his quests are a bit closer. So I took a fetch quest for the Hogfoot village. Once I got there, I put the point I had gained earlier into Spearmaster, and got to work clearing out the village. Everything was going fine, until I got to the top where the end loot was. I was killing this businessman when, from behind, I took a hit. From who? A biker zombie. This is another instance of why the biker zombies are my least favorite zombies in the game. Just look at how many bullets I fill him with, yet he still does not die. Bikers have armor due to their helmet, along with more health, so all damage against them is reduced by their armor rating. What that armor rating is, I don't remember, but I think it's around 20%. Anyway, I got the end loot, nothing too spectacular, and returned to Wrecked for my reward. I took the ammo, sold some stuff, and took another quest. Noting how far away it was, and how I would soon be thirsty, I bought a can of Mega Crush to boost my run speed and quench my thirst. Soon I was at the Blue Sky Project. This dog gave me a good scare, I found the supplies, and the quest was done. I was free to leave, and that's what I did. But not before grabbing the end loot, and out of the car parts box, what do I get? A stone shovel. Hell yes. Now I can finally do buried supply quests, without wanting to rip my fingernails out with pliers. I turned the quest in, took the pipe bombs, and accepted a buried supplies quest. But I didn't do it, because an airdrop was in the area. I was hoping it would give me a big food item, and even if not, the magazines and books that would likely be in it I could sell for dukes. The airdrop was alright, nothing too special. I sold all the magazines and mods direct, went home, dropped my stuff off, ate some grilled meat, and went back out to make use of the rest of the day. I had lockpicks and had purchased some jailbreakers earlier, so I had the capabilities to break into some cop cars, and that's what I did. The first one yielded some ammo, a stone spear, and a first aid kit. The second yielded more ammo, some food, a pair of gloves, but above all, a quality 4 stone spear. Now that's what I call an upgrade. I got rid of my old spear and was now ready to take on the world, with my slightly better, but still less than ideal, stone spear. There were no more cop cars in sight, but I still had some time left on the jailbreakers, so I started looking for Tier 3 POIs, and that's how I ended up at the Midway Clinic. So aptly named, as just as it was a turning point in 1942 for the war in the Pacific, so too will it be a turning point for my playthrough. How do I know that? I don't, but I believe it will be, which is all that matters. The locked and loot chest was in sight, but there was no way I was breaking through that glass. Fortunately, the nearby brick wall had not been keeping up with its strength regimen, and was far weaker than the glass. I broke through, and with less than 30 seconds left on my jailbreakers, rushed to pick the end loot chest. I had to stop once to deal with this utility guy, and with literally a second to spare, I succeeded, and it was not really worth it. It was not all bad though. I got a ton of medical items from the popped pills crates, and another pack of jailbreakers from the vending machines. I dropped all my stuff off and went out to do some last-minute looting. I ended up at the Slummit Apartments, cheated my way to the end loot, and encountered my first cop and soldier zombies. These guys did a real number on me, particularly the soldier zombie, and the lumberjack zombie who came from somewhere. I had to use 2 of my bandages just to restore health. Not that that's a problem, I have 2 full stacks, plus more at home. They all died, I got another pocket mod, books to sell, and that was that. What's next? You guessed correctly. Another night of sitting in the attic, doing nothing. This video is pretty long by now. I can tell that your attention spans are beginning to waver, so I'm going to skim over the day. I packed my inventory with stuff to sell, then decided to instead go do the buried supplies quest now that I have a shovel. It gave me nothing good, I returned to the trader, took the cobblestone, and of course all his quests are light years away from me. I took this one, sold my stuff, had an impressive amount of dukes, and went to not do the quest. There was a cop car that was still locked, and these 2 Tier 3 POIs that had locked ADMs and locked end loot chests. So I went home to retrieve my jailbreakers and lockpicks. I got them, went back to the bowling alley, broke through the wall, killed the zombies, including the dog, and went to find the end loot at the motel across the street. I found it, and almost died for the second time in this challenge. This lady came up and blocked me in this room, with zombies coming up the stairs. I managed to escape, downed some painkillers, and got the end loot. The first chest had night vision goggles, a scavenger chest piece, and some ammo. Not bad. The wall safe upstairs had nothing good. The ATMs had what you'd expect, cash. The second chest gave me more ammo, an impact bracing mod, and some magazines. Again, not bad. And last but not least, the cop car had more ammo, a stone spear, and some pure mineral water. Pretty good for a cop car. Plus, I now had a ton of stuff I could sell to the trader. When all was said and done, I had 4,118 dukes. I ended up buying some repair kits, an iron pick, an iron fire axe, and a quality 4 pipe machine gun. Things are starting to look up. My arsenal of weapons and tools is improving, and soon I will have the bicycle. I took the Mega Crush that I had purchased earlier and zoomed over to my last Tier 1 quest. I wasted no time at Ranger Station Beta. That place was cleared so quickly you could count the number of seconds it took on your hands, but only if you had 10 of them. Was that a good joke? I don't know. I got a book that increased my spear damage, zoomed back to the trader, and there it was, the precious bicycle. For a moment, I was considering taking the wood blocks instead of the bicycle. In hindsight, it was an easy decision. I took the bicycle, took the opening trade routes quest for some reason, which was a whopping 4.2 kilometers away. In case you don't know how far that is, 2.6 miles is the same distance. Now that we're past today's measurement lesson, the question arises, what am I going to do for the rest of the day? What's that? Cheat and get POI and loot? That's right. You guys already know the routine, but that's not good. Where's the fun in knowing what will happen next? So I'm going to surprise you. I'm doing nighttime looting. Bet you didn't see that one coming. The working stiff tools was first, mainly because I was hoping I could get some more building blocks. I did, plus some meat stew. Then I found another very important item, repair kits. The necessary item to repair my iron tools and future guns and weapons I might have. I can't craft them, and they're expensive as all hell at the trader, so I need to ration them for as long as possible. The working stiff tools was clear, so I moved on to Jim and Tim's Bullets and Booze. Everything went well, except at the very end. Not surprising. These hired hat fellows had the audacity to hit me, to the extent that I was at half health, became infected, and suffered a concussion. The concussion lasted but a second, for I had painkillers. The infection was not a concern either, for I had honey, not on me, but back at the base. And I also had a crap ton of stuff to sell to the trader. It's now day 6, and by my barely sufficient math skills to be accepted into university, tomorrow is day 7, Horde Night. I'm not scared though, I'm freaking terrified. I still don't know where I'm going to build a horde base, I still don't know how I'm going to build a horde base with the limited number of building blocks I have. I was so worried that my impeccable judgment, which had gotten me this far, was starting to become obstructed. So, to clear my mind, I went to Trader Rect to see if he could help me calm down. He did, by letting me fill my pockets with more dukes and giving me a quest to go fetch supplies from the crypts. I did just that, and along with the supplies, got a delicious blueberry pie and a book that increases the amount of dukes I find and loot. Rect gave me bacon and eggs as a reward, another quest which gave me a triple pocket mod and Molotovs, and I took my first infested quest of the challenge at Poopy Pants Daycare, which was on the other side of this forest, in a neighboring town. It was easy as far as infested quests go. I got a lot of medicine and ammo. But before I went back to Trader Rect, I took some time to find Trader Rect's clone, who had opened a shop just like his in this town. I found him, sold him some stuff, took an infested quest which I had no intention of doing right now, and went back to the real Trader Rect. Took more Molotovs as my reward, and had a new objective. The traders all restock on day 7, tomorrow. However, I can get them to restock a time before that if I can get a second point into Daring Adventure. I already have the necessary points in intellect from previous levels. Now I just need one more level to put a point into Daring Adventure. Of course I got it, grabbed all the stuff I could sell and went right to Trader Rect. And what do you know? He had nothing good. Fortunately, there's tomorrow. Unfortunately, there's tomorrow. You know, that sort of describes my life right now. We're in the home stretch, so I'm going to go as quickly as I can to the grand finale. But before we do that, I got a book that increased my spear attack speed, and also had to defend my home from a group of zombies who seemed particularly agitated tonight. These probably were the overzealous ones who wanted to kill me early, so I wouldn't have to kill all their friends on Horde Night. They failed. But that's not important. I need a horde base. And that's how I ended up back at Jim and Tim's Bullets and Booze. There's a ladder that leads up to the roof that I could turn into a kill zone. I only had 49 building blocks, so I could not go crazy, but I devised myself an acceptable kill zone that I was only 50% sure would work. I started building it, but stopped once the sun rised. The traders have restocked, and seen if there is anything useful is priority 1. And Trader Rect had the gosh darn motherload, a quality 2 iron spear, a lantern, and the water purifier mod. You can be sure that I bought all those items without hesitation. I also went to visit Rec's clone, who had literally nothing. I went to do his infested quest, which was right next to his place. And it was here that I nearly failed the challenge for a second time, and it would have been completely my fault if it did. I dropped down into this death pit, and there was a feral. I ran out into another feral, and was forced into this room with no way out. I still remember my exact words in this moment. No, please, not like this. I spammed power attack, I spammed the hell out of those first aid bandages on my hotbar, and with sheer determination not to fail the challenge here, I survived. This shook me more than this game has in a long time. I was cautious now, afraid of what else might be waiting in this infested. Fortunately, there were no more ferals. I got some more building blocks, which was nice. The clone gave me vegetable stew for my efforts. I also bought another yucca juice smoothie and the clone's repair kits, which I had just enough dukes for. I was done questing for the day. I had already almost died again, and was still faced with the prospect that this horde night would be a disaster. So I went back to finishing the horde base. All the ways up to the roof were destroyed, save for the one at the kill zone. The base was done. I now just had to upgrade it to cobblestone. And that's how I fell off the roof and sprained my leg. Nice. I finished the base, nothing special, but hopefully it will work. Now that that's done, there's one other issue I need to resolve. I have no water. Why is this an issue? Well, I'm going to be using Molotovs. And if you accidentally set yourself on fire, you need water to put yourself out. The best I could do were 3 bottles of water from Trader Rec's. Everything was set. I had my Molotovs, my water, my weapons, my ammo, my cobblestone, and my repair tool. But then it was not, because I forgot iron. This was not that big of a deal. I was just concerned that the zombies might beat on the ladder and break it out. I got some iron with no issue though. The next thing I forgot was pipes. This was more of a big deal. I need pipes to repair my pipe machine gun. So I started scrambling, searching through the building below me. I came up with 2 pipes, plus a spare pipe machine gun of the same quality I had. Then another issue arose. I don't have any frames to get back up to the roof. This just keeps getting better and better. I was able to get back up with the 2 frames I had though, and at long last, here we are. Horde night. And it went off without a hitch. The zombies did not stand a chance. There really is not much for me to show of Horde night because it was just another 7 days to die Horde night. I barely even used the pipe machine gun. When the last zombie hit the ground, the yellow loot bags were everywhere. I searched them, departed for my base, and successfully survived 7 days without crafting anything in 7 days to die. Looking back on this challenge, it was much easier than I thought it would be. Maybe that's because I'm good at the game, or maybe just because that's genuinely how easy it is to survive without crafting anything. Of course, finding that spear on day 1 was a major game changer. The game only gets harder from here though, and maybe, if this video does well, I'll do a part 2, where I have to survive another 7 days without crafting anything. It's up to you if you want to see that. Thanks for watching everyone. Hit that like button if you liked the video, and maybe hit the subscribe button if you're interested in gameplay content like this. This is the Gamer General signing off for another day. At ease everyone.